Leilani Joy here, and welcome to another episode of the Paint Along, the show where you can paint along with me in real time while I answer your most important art-related and not so art-related questions. I'm really excited to be back today and painting and doing a new video because I don't know if you can tell by the sound of my sicky voice, but I'm just getting over a cold finally. And this is the first day I've been able to do much of anything other than lay on the couch groaning and working on my second playthrough of Mass Effect 2. So I am excited to get back to work today and answer your questions for you. So before we get started, just wanted to mention my look inspiration today. Last night, my boyfriend and I went and saw Man from U.N.C.L.E., and I highly recommend seeing it. I totally enjoyed it. I was so into it. I'm a big Guy Ritchie fan anyway, but it's really fun. The production design's amazing, and I wanted every single outfit and costume in that movie. And I realized while watching it, actually, that I'm pretty sure that my fashion spirit style is the 60s. I'm sure of it now. Like, after watching that, I'm like, oh my God. The eyeliner, the lashes, the big earrings, the big hair. Oh my God, that's my spirit style. Oh my God, I totally realized it. It's just kind of a cool revelation. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. I've got my painting here, and I'm going down in my little miniature box on the side, and you should be able to see what I'm working on. Oh, also, I just happened to have my Modify watch that I just got in the mail. I'm really excited. I don't know if I've actually showed you guys these. Here it is. I just got my first one in the mail. I have a collaboration with Modify watches. Really exciting. They recently contacted me and asked if I would want to license some of my work with them. So I now have a couple of designs on their website. You can find it right here. I'm hoping I'm going to have some more styles soon. So probably if you guys keep buying these, they'll add some more. Also, where's my other one? Oh yeah. So what's really cool about these though, guys, is you can buy just the faces, and then you have you can pick any strap you want, any strap color. And these little guys just pop right back in here, super easy. It's really cool. So you can change out the straps whenever you want, and then you can do different colors, and then you can just buy new faces if you want different styles, and you don't have to buy the entire thing every time. So it's pretty cool. So there's my Prisma style as well, and this is the seafoam strap. So yeah, so check those out if you want to get one of those. I really love them, and I'm not even that big of a watch person, but these are pretty sweet. Anyway, here we have my Medusa painting, and that's what you've come here to see today. And I have done a little bit of work on her since last we saw, but I'm going to start off today by continuing to kind of define some of these snakes. I'd like to kind of push and pull these a little bit more forward and back in the space to give them a little bit more dimension. It's interesting, this piece, I don't know, some people tell me your pieces look so easy, they're so simple, but it's they're actually not. There's a lot of different elements to make something look simple, I think, So this has been a slightly more complicated piece than I usually do, just because of all these forms. All these snakes are actually three-dimensional forms. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to that and jump into answering some questions for you guys. So hopefully I can get through. I know I have quite a few built up now, so I'm hoping I'll be able to get through as many as I can. If you guys want to ask a question, remember to add the hashtag AskLJ. And primarily, I'm going to get the questions from the most recent paint along video. So if you're watching this right now and this is my most recent video, then ask your question on this, and I will be taking that for the next video. Hopefully that kind of makes sense to you. And Instagram, same thing. I'm going to announce each new paint along vid. So if you want to ask a question, just comment on the most recent announcement, and that should make it easiest for me to find the most current questions. If I accidentally miss your question because you asked it on an old video or something, just re-ask it and I'm sure I'll find it again. So first up, I have a question from Signor Degato, and Signor asks, hello, do you have any advice for someone looking to go into a career in art? I'm wanting to go into the art field, but I'm having a hard time convincing my parents that art is a real job. Seriously, like, I just feel like, I feel like, God, this is so archaic. Like, I can't believe that people are still having to deal with this. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe if, I don't know, like in the 70s or something, if someone was like, oh, I want to be an artist, they think you're like doing hippie graffiti on the side of the freeway or something. But like nowadays, I'm like, I don't understand like how people are still so naive about what having an art job is. Anyway, I digress on that. Anyways, so any ideas on careers that include creative art, or perhaps how I can convince others that I can make a living off art? Well, let me first say this. You don't need to convince other people that you can make a living at art. You just have to do it. Like, does that make sense? Like, I don't feel like, I love that quote that RuPaul always says, right? What other people think of me is none of my business. Like, I don't really think it should be like a big battle with your parents as far as like convincing them that, art is a career, because a couple of reasons. We got to give our parents some credit. They do often come from a different time and where things were, just imagine like how far the iPhone has come like since you've been alive. So it's a bit different for your parents' generation as to what they think is as a career. I mean, so many people, if you guys watch Silicon Valley or know anything about the Bay Area, how many people work in like making apps and making games and stuff? And like, I'm sure people said there's no way that that's a real job. And many of those people are like millionaires many times over. So honestly, that means nothing. So as long as you figure it out. So anyways, what I'm getting at here, Signor Degato, is that you need to focus more on like getting a plan rather than like coming up with some scheme to like convince people. In other words, just worry about you. You need to do some research for one thing. I could give you a list of art jobs, but that's not really going to do you any good because I don't know you personally. I don't know what you would like to do. So I think you kind of need to figure that out for yourself. I don't think that I can tell you what job is good for you, guys. Like, you're going to have to do a little bit of your own legwork. And honestly, with the internet, it's so freaking easy to do that. So go on Google and look up top 10 art careers 2015. I'm sure that that's going to bring up something for you. As an example, do you like games? Do you like designing characters? Do you prefer product design? Would you like to do menus? Like, look at everything around you. Okay, so like when you go to the store, you're like, what art jobs have people done? Somebody designed this toy. Somebody designed the package that the toy is in. Somebody designed a cover for this children's book or novel, or you know what I mean? So I don't know, just like throughout your day, like be more aware of like that kind of thing. That might kind of help you. Because I feel like you're kind of missing, you're like, there's no jobs. I'm like, there are so many jobs. There's tons of art jobs. Whoever these people are that are telling people there's no jobs in art are just completely uninformed. So yeah, I would narrow that down for yourself first and just kind of I don't know, make a pros and cons list. Like, would I like to be more in animation, film, games, products? I'm just kind of naming off a few things for you to get started with. And then from there, once you've narrowed it down to like a couple of different ones, let's say, then you're going to have to start researching what kind of education you need to get those jobs. Maybe some people that work in that field that you can interview or ask them for some advice on how to get into that field, and then start figuring out what school you want to go to, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, just think of it as an assignment that you need to do. And I guarantee you, to any of you guys that are in this similar situation, if you go to your parents with a plan that you have written out on paper, no, trust me, I've done this with my parents, and it works with any parents. It works really good. Say, look, these are 3 careers that I'm very interested in. I have talked to professionals in this field. I have researched schools that have programs in this field. I have found out how much it costs to go to these schools. I have researched where to get loans, how to get grants to go to this school. And I guarantee you, your parents would be like, oh, okay, you know what you're talking about. And I can get behind that because now you know some people that have jobs in the industry, you know schools that you could go to. So you know what I mean? Like, I just, I think if you do that, nobody's going to be able to argue with you. I know I'm like kind of like lecturing you guys, but like half the time I feel like this is really what I would tell my pre-college self, because although honestly I wasn't even questioning it that much, and my parents, like I said, were they were really supportive about me pursuing art. They didn't even ask me like what career. They did think that I should work at Pixar because we had a family friend that worked there, and they thought that that was a really good career path for me. But like I said, I changed my mind about that. I decided I didn't want to pursue 3D animation, which is what I started studying, and I didn't like it. And I don't know. I know they have 2D artists there as well, but hey, who knows? But that just didn't seem to end up being the path that I was going to take with that. So anyway, I know that was a little bit of a lengthy answer there, but I do hope that helps you, Signor Degato, and go work on your plan and report back and let me know how it goes. I will be very interested to see if you've got your little thesis plan there, if people will stop harassing you and telling you art's not a real job, because you'll have proof. Okay, next question is from Ryan Gannon Foster. Gannon Foster. Is that your actual name? Gannon? Or is that like a Zelda pun? Like Ganondorf? Okay, that'd be sweet if it was your real name. I don't know. All right, Ryan Gannon Foster asks, do you love me yet? No. Cannot say I do since I don't know you, and that's weird. Hopefully you mean that in like a purely playful way, and you're not outside my window right now stalking me. Just kidding. I'm sure you do mean it in a fun, playful way. Hopefully. No, I'm sorry. I don't love you. I have a boyfriend, and yeah, I'm taken. Anyways, any tips for starting with acrylics? Yeah, let's see. I get asked this one a lot, and I'm not sure if I always give the best advice, but acrylics is kind of a tricky beast. I think that you kind of you have to get used to it, especially if you're used to oils. It's gonna feel like totally frustrating at first, but once you learn it, it's a really nice medium because it dries really fast. And I really love like the purity of color that you can get with it. It's great. As far as just like beginning tips, I would just say like have a little patience with yourself. First of all, like there is going to be a little bit of a learning curve. So there's a couple of different ways that you can paint with acrylic. And the first way I would say is, if you're just starting out, is to kind of think of acrylic as layering. So think of it this way. Acrylics dry really quickly. So unless you are advanced and unless you are going to blend really fast, like if you really like blending and getting kind of a nice realism, acrylics is going to be an advanced medium for you because you're going to have to be a really fast painter. If you're not, though, if you're just learning it, then think of acrylic more as like, here, let me show you a little example. I've got some paper. Think of acrylic as like paper cutouts, if you will. So like paint your base first. And in acrylic, you should primarily be working dark to light. You can work back and forth though, luckily, because acrylic is so forgiving that way. But think of painting your darks in first and then layering on top of that, and just doing more and more layers. So that's kind of like a silly metaphor, but think of it that way. Unless again, like I said, you're very, very confident and you're able to blend really fast. I do kind of a layering method myself because my work is excuse me, my work is rather graphic, so I will tend to do like a mid-tone, and then I will do darks and then some lights on top of that. So yeah, so just think of it as you work, think of it like that you can don't worry about blending it while it's wet, because it's just not going to happen that way unless you're really, really quick. If you like blending and you like being able to continue to blend, then I would recommend using oils or something that gives you that capability, because acrylics don't. You can, so mostly when I do blend, it's actually not so much blending, but it's more like working in glazes on top of my base layers. So I will use different mediums and stuff to thin it, and then I'll actually be painting. I'm actually kind of doing that right now. It looks like it's blended, but it's more like thin layers that are actually going on top of a solid layer. So hopefully those tips help you out. I would recommend, again, using paint containers, and absolutely if you mix colors, because they're going to dry out if they're on your palette. So use containers. You may want to use a what's called a wet palette. I don't have mine next to me. I don't use it that much because it gets smelly. It smells like mold sometimes because I don't clean it that well. But I prefer to use these. But you can use a wet palette, which has like a little wet like sponge layer, and it'll keep your acrylics wet longer. You can use acrylics kind of like watercolor as well if you want to paint really thin with a lot of water. But do keep in mind that you probably want to work on paper or something that's absorbent, because the problem with acrylic is if you get it too thin with water. So if we're going to talk chemistry again here. So basically acrylic is kind of like a plastic in a way. So if you get too much water in it, it's going to break down the molecular structure, if you will, and it won't hold together. It will be too thin and it may peel or crack or something. So keep that in mind. If you do want to paint super, super thin like watercolor, you may want to work on a porous surface like illustration board or Bristol board or something like that. So yeah, I think really though, like if you really want to learn acrylics fast and efficient, then you should take an acrylic painting class. I don't know if I mentioned it. I am going to be going over supplies in my online class. I'm going to be talking about sort of the pros and cons of all the supplies that you learn in art school, basically. But I am not going to be at this time doing an in-depth training on any one medium, because my first classes that are coming out are going to be focused on you guys using whatever medium you want. So I'm not going to like force you to learn a specific medium. So it's not going to be so much medium based, but more an overview. If you want to learn more, you'll have to take an actual class in that specific medium. Okay, next I have Mandolin Art. Hey Mandolin, you're like my regular interviewer. I hope my answers have helped you so far. Today she asks, do you think it's important to try and work on a piece until it's done, even if you don't like it halfway through, or if it's easier to just start over if you don't like the way things are going? Yeah, let's see. I feel like I have actually answered this, I think, on my last paint along. I had somebody else ask me about saying they have trouble ever finishing. So I'll just kind of briefly answer this because I'm pretty sure that I gave a pretty in-depth answer on this previously. But I don't think it's... I think it could go either way. It depends. If you think, if you get halfway through and you're like, you know what? I see a better solution for this, and you kind of have a plan in mind, and you're like, no, I think I know what I want, and I want to do it a different way. I think it is best to start over. Don't force yourself to finish if you really see a better approach that you'd rather do. However, like I said on the last video, which I think I was talking about this thing again called, I'm patenting this word if it hasn't been already patented by some other artist, but ugly stage. It's called the ugly stage, guys. Every art piece goes through it. Every art piece. And most of us go, oh my God, I should start over. This sucks. But like some really amazing artworks would never have been created if the artist didn't push through the ugly stage. You know, it's just, that's just kind of how it is. So do be forgiving on yourself and sometimes realize, okay, this is in the ugly stage and I need to continue working on it to get it out of the ugly stage. And if it never gets out of the ugly stage, then maybe you need to start over. So I can't really say black and white for sure if you should always start over or you should always push through, because this is not, it's not a black and white answer. I wrestle with this question all the time, myself personally, and I'm like, should I just push through it? Usually, I guess I'll say, usually pushing through is the best option, and a lot of times you'll surprise yourself. But yeah, some are a lost cause. It's a bummer, but it is. You guys know, I've started some paintings. I showed you guys some in progress, and then it fell off the earth, and it was destroyed, and hopefully will never be seen again by anyone. But it's an unfortunate part of the artistic process, so I guess that'll just be my answer for that. All right, next up I have Edward Suo 13. Is there such a thing as bad art? In your opinion, of course. Ooh, my goodness. That's a touchy question. I want to take a moment here to applaud you guys for really challenging me with these questions. You guys have been amazing and really creative and giving me stuff that is hard to answer, and I appreciate it. And I think it's good that we all kind of like have this discussion, right? Oh, geez, I'm gonna try to answer this carefully. As a Mass Effect joke right here, the Paragon in me wants to say, no, there's no such thing as bad art. Every art is art. Whatever you think is art is art. But if I've told you guys before how I play Mass Effect, I'm kind of a true Paragade. I ride the line between Paragon and Renegade, whatever. But my honest opinion, since you're asking for it, is yeah, I have seen some art that I do not understand why it is like, this is hard for me, guys. I don't really want to answer this because I feel like it's going to step on somebody's toes one way or the other. But I do feel like I've gone to MoMA, I've gone to, the Museum of Modern Art, and I've gone there and I'm like, I do not know why a freaking graphite scribble on the wall is art. I mean, they're trying to say something bigger, with it. I get that. I do kind of get that. Does it mean that I personally think like, I freaking kill myself to do what I do sometimes, and I feel like those people are like, yeah, whatever, this is what I feel. So I'm not that type of artist, I guess I'll say. So I don't really relate to that per se. I guess I will say this without naming names. I have seen art. I have seen artists who, God, I'm trying to I feel like a politician right now. I have seen artists who do art that gets a lot of attention, and they may be even quite successful doing what they're doing, that I feel is... God, I'm sorry. This is hard for me to answer diplomatically. Yeah, okay, fine. I'll just come out and say it. I have seen art where I go, I don't get that. I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't get why. to be more specific, okay, to be slightly more specific without, again, hurting feelings, I feel that fantasy art specifically is I guess I'll put it this way. I've seen fantasy art that I personally think is, ugh, it's just like too much. It's like too rendered and too, I don't know exactly. If you guys know what I'm talking about, awesome. If not, I'm sorry. I've seen it where it's just like a bombardment of like detail and over rendering and just stuff in your face, and I personally appreciate a little bit more simplicity, good design. I mean, it can be rendered and realistic, but I think the design underneath needs to be thought out first. And I do see a lot of artists that are super praised because they're really technically good and they're really good at details, but there's just so much. It's just like, ew, like if you hold it far away, you can't even tell what you're looking at because it's just, yeah. Anyways, so that's the best way I can answer that question. I think I have personal taste, I guess I'll say. I would hesitate to ever say there's such thing as bad art. There's art that I feel is not my taste. Yeah, so sorry I kind of try to dodge that one a little bit. All right, next question comes from Gwiwoon Hans No Good Steeds. Sorry, I butchered that. I don't know what that said. What do you consider sellable art? Geez, are you guys in cahoots? I feel like this is like kind of goes along with that question. I don't know. I anything that sells is sellable, I guess. You know, I guess going back to like economics class, right? If there is demand, then there'll be supply. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really know how to answer that. Anything someone would buy would make it sellable. So again, like I said on the last questions, there's some art out there where I'm just like, I don't get this. I don't personally understand the market for this, but they'll have a huge market for, you know, cats in outfits. I don't know. There used to be this big movement in like, I feel like the 90s where it was like cats wearing Hawaiian shirts and stuff like that, and it was super popular, and I was like, ugh, like this person probably made like $1 million off this stupid cat in a Hawaiian shirt. I don't understand it. I don't get it. But it was popular. There was some, not to knock anybody, there was some guy on like Shark Tank or whatever, and he was like, I'll draw you for $1 or something, and it was like really crappy but sort of charming, goofy little drawing. I don't know. So if that guy can make money selling his like super crude like drawings, then I guess anything is sellable. I don't know. I don't want to sound like a bitter old crone here, guys, so stop asking me stuff like this. Okay, so I'm going to also, I need to finish this last like blood drop here. So while I'm gonna put my masking tape down, and then we'll get to the next question here. Okay, so Isaacson 1974 asks, talk about your boyfriend. How did you two meet? What is the problem for two artists living under the same roof? Oh, I don't know. This is touchy. No. Yeah, I guess I really haven't said. How did we meet? Funny story. So we met on Match.com. I don't know if I told you guys that before. But I feel like admitting that now is like way less embarrassing than it was like when I was actually doing it. I just feel like Match.com doesn't have so much of a stigma as it once did. Like I feel like now there's more like a stigma on like OkCupid, or not OkCupid. That's even better. What's the one? I've been in a relationship too long. Tinder? Yeah. Tinder's got like the, I met on Tinder. It's like, oh, okay. But yeah, so we met on Match.com, but first we told people that we met on like an artist community online because it sounded like less, I don't know, sad. But honestly, I don't think it's sad anymore to meet people online. Like, I think we're both, you know, as an artist, kind of shy, private type people. Well, he's not shy, but I mean, just like meeting people like in bars. I was never like that. If someone like came up and talked to me, I was like, why are you talking to me? I feel so awkward. So I don't know. Most of my bar meeting experiences have been like just creepy. And I'd come out of like a pretty long relationship, like a 4-year relationship, and I really had never dated anybody else, and I wanted to just kind of meet new people, whatever. And yeah, so I ended up meeting Brian, and so a cute story I'll share. I hope he doesn't mind. I don't know if he'll watch this. But he actually only paid for the 3-day trial. I just screwed up. Oh no. I forgot, you guys. I got distracted. This is what happens. Oh wait, it's not too bad. It's okay. Usually I'm supposed to put the matte medium. Usually I put the matte medium down on the tape first before I put the paint, because sometimes it has a tendency to bleed, but it actually looks like it's okay. So we're just going to go with it. Oopsie poopsie. Got distracted talking about boy talk, having girl talk with you guys, and I got distracted. Okay, so it's all good. Okay, anyway, so yeah, he was just, you know, he had just moved to the Bay Area from Ohio, where he went to college. He went to the Columbus College of Art and Design, and he was working out here at a Disney company, and he was just looking to meet new people too, and he saw my profile on there while just, you know, how you can like just browse. And he's like, oh, like, I really would like to talk to this girl, me. And so he signed up for the 3-day trial, and he totally, like, saw my profile, and he, like, put some stuff in his profile that, like, was kind of, like, you know, complimentary. Because, like, if I read it now, I'm like, you totally copied that from mine. So anyways, it was, like, okay, cute. So he, like, sent me a wink, and he's like, hey, I'd like to talk to you, but I only, like, have 3 days on here, and so, you know, maybe we can email. So we started talking on there, and yeah, so the rest is basically history. And I'm still trying to get him to like pay for half of my subscription to Match.com, because he didn't pay at all, and I paid like way more than I wanted to. Match.com is an interesting experience, you guys. I don't know. I met a few interesting ones. I don't think they'd ever find out, so it's fine if I say this. But one guy I was supposed to go out with, and he called me the day of our date. And he was like, oh, I'm really sorry, I can't go out tonight because I got a DUI and I crashed into a tree last night and I'm in jail. And I'm like, and he's like, so do you want to reschedule? And I'm just like, no. Weirdo. Jeez. So anyways, if any of you guys have tried online dating, you know what I'm saying. It's an interesting creature. Anywho, okay, so yeah, so that's how we met. What is the problem for two artists living under the same roof? I said before, we actually don't like clash too often. His art is like really different than mine. I was super nervous when I first met him about this. I was like, I don't know, like we're either gonna like be superly, like we have so much in common that we're either gonna be super well matched or we're just gonna repel. But honestly, like it's really great most of the time, because it's kind of like having somebody always who has a good eye to help you when you're like stuck in that rut and just like, okay, I need a fresh pair of eyes. And sometimes a non-artist can't really help you with this. It's like, you know, when you show it to your parents, they don't understand art. And they're like, but it looks so good, honey. It looks so good. And I'm like, no, you don't know what. You don't know how to help me. But living with an artist is great for that. I mean, at times, there can be some like, oh, really? You think that looks bad? Like, I don't know. I have occasionally said not quite the right thing, and it can be very sensitive. obviously, but for the most part, we are really able to help each other. We did this last night, actually. I was feeling a little bit burned out on this piece, and I was like, I just don't know what it needs. Like, I don't know, it needs something. And he was like, oh, well, you should add like a cooler blue-green, like just in little spots, because I started doing this kind of cool blue-green in the lips and the fingertips. And he's like, it would be really great if you hit just a few spots in the snakes with that cool blue-green, and I think it'll really pull it and tie it all together. And I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Oh my God, that's exactly what I need to do. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I just really, really appreciated that advice, because it was just like that one little extra thing that I could not see. And he was working on a piece for work, and he's just like, I don't know, like, I just feel like it's not quite right. And then I was like, well, what if you did this? What if you flipped it and made this character a little bit bigger? And then we did that, and I was like, that's it. And he's like, oh, amazing. I couldn't see that. So that is such a blessing. And man, yeah, I have grown so much as an artist learning from him. And I would hope, I don't know, I hope he's learned something from me. Like I said, I don't know. He's kind of on a different, in a different league than I am in a lot of ways. But it's great. And I really appreciate having that. And it's definitely a good thing. So that would be what I'd say about that. Lindsay Cowley asks, how do you find work? Do you frequent certain sites, or do you get clients from shows and word of mouth? As always, I love your art and seeing your awesome cosplays. Thank you, Lindsay. Well, yeah, I guess I haven't really talked about this too much, have I? To be perfectly honest, I have been very lucky. I think this was the same answer I gave about gallery exhibits as well, is that thus far I have not had to do much hunting for jobs. They've kind of fallen into my lap a little bit, if you will. Like I said, I think the YouTube platform has been probably my most successful way of getting my work out there, because a lot of my clients come from seeing my work on YouTube or on Etsy. I've also had a lot of luck on there as well. So I actually have not, I've never used Elance or anything like that to get work. Also, a lot of people I've met at conventions. I got a really great illustration job from a guy who was just in the booth next to me at ApeCon like a few years ago. He was a really great illustrator and animator, and we just got to talking because his table was right next to mine. He was a really nice guy. And he, like 2 years later, he sent me an email. I was like, hey, like, remember I met you? Like, I have this job that'd be perfect for you. So if you want to do it, like, it's $2,000, you know? And I'm like, oh, sweet. So that was really awesome. So I would say a lot of it comes from that. You can get a lot of work by word of mouth, as in, like, networking with other artists, because there's definitely been things, this happens to my boyfriend a lot. He'll get like offers for freelance jobs, but since he's too busy at his full-time job, he'll just, you know, call up one of his artist friends and be like, hey, you want a job? You need a job right now? Because I've got one that's available and I can't do it. So that's really a great way. So you definitely want to get out to cons and network with artists and stuff like that, because that will really help you get in that loop. Hey, it's a small club, and if you can get yourself in, it's good. You know, it's definitely good. But just keep working at it. And although having said that, though, I do think some of those sites are really great. I'm doing some more research on it right now, actually, because I do want to be more informed and figure out how those work and everything, because I want to share that option with you in my online business of art class, because I do want to give you guys some resources that can help you get started, because I do know some people who have been very successful getting work on some of those like illustration websites. And I'm going to talk about getting an agent and having them find you work. That's really, I have a friend from school who got an agent, and he is a very successful children's book illustrator now. They've really, his agency really hooks him up with the jobs, and he doesn't have to chase them down. He just has to do the work. So it does take some of the legwork out if you get accepted. A lot of agents will only take a certain style of artist, or depending on like what they specialize in, kind of thing. But again, I'm going to go into depth about this in my class. So I'm still in the researching process myself. I want to know more about this. So I want to find out so I can help you guys more with that. I am taking a long time on each of these questions, so I'm going to try to answer them a little bit faster. Sorry, my brain's a little bit slow since I've been sick. Anyway, let's take this tape off and see how this turned out. What? Actually, it worked out pretty good. Usually, sometimes when I don't put the matte medium down, it'll bleed underneath there a little bit. But it looks like my lucky day. So I'm going to, sometimes I do this, and I'm going to kind of share this with you guys. Colored pencils are awesome with acrylic paint, and they're really great, especially if you're kind of trying to plan out where you want to paint, because you can erase them right off of the acrylics. Really nice, because they're kind of waxy base, so you can draw on top of your acrylics, and you can incorporate that in, which I like to do a lot of times, or sometimes I like to use them to kind of plot out where I'm going to paint. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of that, because this is actually a really nice kind of match for this paint color that I'm using. So I'm going to use my colored pencil to kind of plot this out a little bit, since sometimes, yes, it is hard to concentrate and make these kinds of decisions while I'm also answering questions. This is challenging, guys, for real. Like I've never taught live or like done any kind of like live painting. So this has been really good practice for me to kind of learn how to multitask, if you will. All right, so moving on. Next, I have a question from Truth Marie. Hi, Leilani. I love your artwork, and you always inspire me to draw when I see your videos. Oh, that's so cool. I love to hear that. Seriously, it's so awesome. I was wondering if you would do another video of you drawing a piece completely digitally. Well, actually, I don't think I've actually ever done a video of me drawing completely digitally. I never draw completely digitally. I still like to draw traditionally, and if I do a digital piece, it's because I scan the drawing in and then do the coloring and whatever else digitally, but I don't tend to draw digitally. I would like to more. My boyfriend has the Cintiq. Let me see if I can show you really fast. Can you see it over there? Oh, sorry, there's a weird pillow in his chair. Yeah, there it is. It's that big screen thing. So he can draw like right on top of that, and it's a lot more like realistic drawing or traditional drawing, because you can actually see what you're drawing on your tablet, unlike the old Wacom's where you would just have to see it on the monitor. I never connected with that, and I never really liked it very much. But yeah, I don't know. I will experiment with that maybe again someday, because it's a great tool, and I really think it's the best way to do digital painting, because I feel like it just feels more natural. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not really an expert in digital drawing and painting, so I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay, Caitlin B asks, I was wondering if there was ever a time where you second-guessed your choice to pursue art. I find myself wondering a lot if I've just fooled myself into thinking I'm any good. Oh, dear Caitlin. I totally relate to you. If it makes you feel better, I still feel this way often. I still second-guess myself a lot. When I have a hard month, like I said, this week I was sick and I got behind, and I tend to put a lot of pressure on myself, which is not necessarily even there, which is hard. So I'm like, people are waiting for my classes. I have to work. I have to hurry up and get this done, and stress and stuff builds up, and then, your immune system depletes and you get sick like I do sometimes. So yeah, there's a lot of times where I wonder if this was the best way to do things. But I think you can spend a lot of your life regretting, or you can spend a lot of your life trying and maybe failing, but at least you tried, and then you can move on to the next thing. So I don't think it does anybody any good to be like, always second guessing yourself so much that you never actually do anything. So I would say, I don't know. I have my little like self-doubt episodes on the regular. As my boyfriend knows, sometimes I'm like, why have I done this to myself? I'm a hack. I'm a fraud. I'm this and that, the other. And I go through this regularly. But the truth is, I do like what I'm doing. I feel that I improve with each new piece. And that's all you can really hope for. And if you really want to, I think that's all that matters. You can always get better. There's always room to get better. If you're thinking that you're going to wait until you are perfect, that ain't never going to happen. It's just not. And again, talking to a younger version of myself, I thought at first, well, once I have this perfect style, once I have my perfect technique, then I will actually start sending my portfolio out. And I was stunted by that. And I actually, in a weird way, it stunted me, but it also I was like, well, YouTube, whatever. That's just, that's not the scary art director. I was scared of this scary art director that was out there, and it was going to receive my portfolio and throw it in the fire and just laugh maniacally like a supervillain at my portfolio. That it scared me, and I was like, well, maybe I'll just see what people on YouTube think. I don't know, and in hindsight though, YouTube is a much scarier place than any art director, because the worst thing that's probably going to happen to you with an art director is they're just not going to write you back, or they'll write you and say, I'm sorry, your style's not what we're looking for. But YouTube, man, if you're brave enough, they will tell you like it is. I don't always agree with it, and I think some people are way off base and don't know what the hell they're talking about. Some people are just downright bullies and mean, and their criticism is not even useful to you. But it was the public opinion, and I did learn a lot from the public opinion, so I don't regret it. I think that was good for me, and it toughened me up a lot, because I started hearing things, I'm like, oh my God, But it got me tough, and now I'm not so afraid to show it to professionals, because I'm like, well, I have pretty good feedback from the public, and that's all that really matters. So yeah, don't worry about that. Don't be like, oh, well, maybe I don't know if I'm any good. Keep at it. Again, I encourage you. I definitely encourage you, because that's just artist nature, for real. We all... I think I showed you guys my boyfriend Brian's work last time, and he even is like, oh my gosh, I suck. And I'm like, what? You are crazy. What are you talking about? So, that's just something that we all suffer with. And yeah, probably anybody second guesses their career choices, I guess, unless, I don't know, maybe very, very few and far between. Love every single day of their work life and are so happy that they chose that career. I don't know. I just think that's kind of universal. All right. Jaylene Ray G asks, hi Leilani, I love the Paint Along series, and I want to ask, have you played through episode 4 of Life is Strange? No. But I just finished episode 2. I'm finally getting caught up, and dang, this game, I like that game a lot. My one criticism, let me know, and anybody else play, let me know if you agree with this, but I feel like the creators of the game are my age, 30 something, but they try to write script for what they think young people now talk like. And I find the dialogue at times is no one talks like that. That is so weird. That is trying way too hard. So yeah, I sometimes find the dialogue kind of dorky, because some of their references, they made some reference to Donnie Darko, and I'm like, dude, kids who are 18, they don't know what Donnie Darko is now. I'm sure Donnie Darko is totally obsolete now, But like when I was a teen or when I was like a early college, Donnie Darko was like, you know, the cool emo goth kid tribute movie, which I digress about Donnie Darko. I'm not a Donnie Darko kid. I was kind of like a fake goth, but I don't care for Donnie Darko. I'm like, this is stupid. Sorry. Anyway, so yeah, that just a funny 2 cents on that game. I still really like it. But actually, so this is something that I do, you guys. I like make small goals for myself. So I'm like, if I get my painting done before 8 o'clock, then I can play Life is Strange tonight. So just make little rewards for yourself. You know, it helps you get through your workday. Oh my God. Oh, sorry, my guinea pig. Just hold on a second. Like, he's had enough. It's good. Okay, I'm back. As I nearly fall out of my chair trying to get it. What was I saying? Okay, Life is Strange. Yeah, so I just finished the second episode and I like a game that makes you like second guess your decisions. You're like was that really the best thing for me to do? I don't know. I told you guys like how big of a fan I am of Telltale games. However, I don't know, like I feel like, especially after playing Life is Strange, like we just played the last Borderlands episode, and while I really like it, I really, really do like it, it's really fun and funny, I just feel like if you make two different choices, you still get the same outcome, and I think that's really stupid for a choice game. I really think, not like Telltale game gives two craps about what I think, but I feel like if they want to keep going with that, they're going to have to step that up a little bit, because my boyfriend and I both made like a completely different big decision at the end of the last episode, and the same thing happened. So I'm like, well, that's dumb. Why did I even like ponder that? Okay, anyway, thank you, Jaylene. I'm gonna get caught up on Life is Strange. I am. I'm a fan of it. I like it. Wendy J asks, I have a suggestion for you regarding selling t-shirts with your art on them. Zazzle.com has tons of products that can feature your art. It's pretty easy to set up. Yeah, I know about Zazzle. Zazzle's not that great. Sorry, it's actually not super good. I have a t-shirt printer that I use now, and I really prefer working with like a t-shirt company, because they actually work back and forth with me about sizing and getting things the way I want it. Zazzle is pretty much just like Society 6. I think like years and years ago I got a couple things from Zazzle and it was like, the quality is all right. And again, you make like a couple of cents per shirt, so that doesn't do you any good. I make more working with an actual t-shirt. It's a t-shirt company. So I don't know, like if you want to just try it out, Zazzle might be okay, but again, you're probably only going to be making like maybe like a few dollars, maybe $50 a month if you really start selling a lot. It's just not really the best way to get your work out there. So I don't really recommend Zazzle, actually. And Wendy also asked, did you take a class to learn how to mix your own paint colors, or is that something you picked up along the way? Are there any basic tips you could share? Did I take a class on how to mix? Well, yeah, I mean, I went to art school, so that's all they do is make you mix paint. So yeah, I've had lots and lots and lots of classes on that. Yeah, not really. Actually, when you go to art school, God, I'm not painting. I'm just blabbing. Sorry. I need to be painting more here. When you go to art school, like one of the first classes they make you take is like color and design, like color theory. And they, oh my God, they tediously make you like do color matching, which is like, I mean, it's a good exercise, but it's super tedious and you have to do it in gouache. So they'll give you like colors on a paper and you have to like very, very carefully and tediously mix a little tiny bit at a time until you match the swatches that they provide you. And then they grade you on how close you got. And I'm not kidding. They were sticklers. Like I worked super hard for hours and hours and I think I still got a C. And I'm like, that looked like a pretty good match to me. And my teacher would be like, it's slightly too cool, it's slightly too neutral, it's slightly whatever. So yeah, man, they really drive that home. They drive home the color mixing. But it is really good skills because now I do find that I am pretty quick. Like, I think I talked about this on my my Disney pieces. They Disney's like very strict about their Pantones. So Pantones are like it's like a color standard. It's like a catalog. So they have actual corresponding numbers to the specific green of Tinkerbell's dress, right? So I had those Pantone samples and I had to match them as closely as I could. They had a little wiggle room because it's fine art, so they were a little bit more lenient. But I got there pretty quickly, actually. I did find that well, I can see that it is a cooler or a warmer green or a cooler green, and it needs to be neutralized a little bit. The more you do it, the more you'll automatically like know what to do. You'll be like, well, this needs to be a little lighter, a little darker, a little more muted, or mute. When I say muted usually means, if I remember this correctly, is muted would be adding the complement to the color, so it would neutralize it a little bit. And then, darker, add black, lighter, add white, tint, saturation, neutralize. So there's like different words that you'll learn, and you'll start to be able to recognize that when you're color matching. So I am going to teach this a bit in my art school express class, which is my art school crash course, because that's a really important thing they teach you in art school. So we're going to have a whole unit on color and matching and mixing and all that stuff. So I'm going to give you the cliff notes on that in my class coming up. So if you want to know more about that, then you'll want to take that class that's coming up soon. All right, so I only have time for a couple more questions. I think I'm probably already going over. I'm sorry. I feel like I didn't get through very many today. Trying to get back in the groove, it's taking me a little longer. And I'm going to have to go lay down on the couch again shortly. So let's wrap it up for today, and hopefully I'll get more of this painting done soon. I still got to do her tattoos here. So, yeah, let's see. I still got a ways to go on these snakes, but I'm going to try to keep defining them. I also want to have just a little bit of a... Oh, shit. Walk my water off the table. See, I'm cracking up. I want to have just a few subtle areas that just have a little bit of scales, just like just a little bit of texture. I've kind of started doing that in this area, but I'm not going to, overdo it. It's like, remember when I was talking about, over detailing? I feel like some people instinctually would do every single scale on the snakes, but that's not really how we see. So when you see something, you're usually actually focusing on detail in one area, and the rest is a little bit softer. So I think you can create that illusion in your artwork, and it's really can be very aesthetically pleasing. So that there's actually only certain areas that pop detail. Typically the eyes are always a focal point. So that's where I do mine. But it's not necessary to have every single area in full sharp detail, because that's not actually how we look at things. So just kind of something to keep in mind. But you can too do that. Some people just do really enjoy having really high detail, but use sparingly. I think you kind of have to have a plan for that when you're doing that. Okay. Tyler H asks, what kind of relationship do you have with your original pieces of art? Is it difficult for you to let them go or sell them? Not anymore. I don't know. I guess I would say in the beginning when I first started selling originals, maybe it was a little bit harder. But honestly, I was so desperate to make some money that it wasn't really that hard either. I don't know. I really feel that way because I don't really have here's Ramona Like, I get these, like, really great, Garrus! Oh, God. He almost died. He's okay. He's okay. All right. He just needed unity. He's fine now. But I get these great canvas reproductions made and stuff if it's a piece that I felt connected to, and I let the original go, and they're still with me all the time, so no, I don't really mourn them. I'm glad when they're gone, because that means I'm getting paid for something. Mallory the Muse asks, hey Leilani, I love your work and these videos. Cool, thank you. I'm also not a huge fan of cats. Ha! Anti-cat power! Sorry for you cat lovers. Mostly because one bit me when I was a kid, right after I gave it tuna. I felt so betrayed. See? Cats are jerks. It's true. Anyways, does that mean you're a dog person? Oh yeah, for sure. If yes, what's your favorite breed? I'm definitely a dog person. I love dogs. I don't really have a favorite breed because I think most of them have something to offer, except for not a real big fan of like purse type dogs, like little rat yapper types. Not really a fan of those. My first dog, my most beloved dog, was a mutt. We found a stray dog when I was a kid, and she ran into our backyard and she hid under our deck for days because she was afraid of the fireworks. It was during 4th of July. And she, like a couple weeks later, we finally managed to coax her from under the deck. She was just so afraid. Somebody had been really mean to her, I think. And she had 8 puppies shortly after we got her. And it was quite an incredible experience. They all looked different. And my parents said that I could keep one puppy and then we would keep the mom. And the one that I chose, I'll have to dig out a picture of him. Maybe I'll put a picture of him in here if I can find one. He had a little white head and a patch, and he was kind of a bulldog pit mix. He was, I guess, closest to an American bulldog. I'm sure he was a mutt. But he looked, for those of you that remember the movie Homeward Bound, he looked just like Chance. Except that he had a patch on his eye, and his name was Patch. And I loved that dog. I loved that dog more than anything, and he was just the best dog I could have asked for. And I loved him very much until he passed away at 14. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still attracted to that kind of bulldog type. I like those. I don't know. I love the ones that kind of look tough, but like have a heart of gold. I don't know. I'm a big fan of those. Okay. Fingalificated. Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Some of you guys have such hard YouTube tag names. I don't know if I'm pronouncing these right. Do you ever get the feeling that, no offense, I love your work. Whenever people say no offense, I know something offensive is about to happen. I love your art style. Oh, wait, sorry. Do you ever get the feeling that your art style, themes, and motives are a bit guilty pleasure-like? I sometimes feel like if I just paint a pretty girl for the sake of being a pretty girl, you know what I mean? And if so, what justifies it in your opinion? First of all, in my defense, I don't think that you mean it this way, but I don't feel that I paint pretty girls for the sake of pretty girls. I feel that my characters have a story to tell. I certainly intend it that way. I'm not painting this because it's pretty. I actually think she's not. I'm actually really enjoying this painting because Medusa is not pretty per se. I mean, she's a monster, but there is definitely a mythology, a story that this evokes. So I do not feel that I paint pretty to paint pretty. So I will say that first. I like to paint pretty. I do paint pretty. But I want something more than pretty. I want an emotion. I want a story. I want someone to say, what is going on in this character's head? I think I achieve that. I attempt to. So I would say, so to answer your question, no, I do not feel that my work is a guilty pleasure. I feel passionately about it. I'm not really, it's a tricky question, I guess. I don't think you should ever feel guilty. If it's something that you want to paint, then do it. If it's something you want to express, if there's a story you want to tell, then it shouldn't be. I actually can't even think of any artist that paints pretty girls just to paint pretty girls. Most of them, there is a specific reason for it. Is it trendy? Yeah, I do think there's people who have jumped on this bandwagon and like, oh, girl art is in, I'm just going to copy that. I've seen that a bit. But I personally can tell when there's nothing behind it, when it's just they're doing art in the style of somebody else, or in the subject matter that's trendy, but there's no heart, there's no soul, there's no story behind it. So I guess that's my 2 cents on the matter. But I personally, I don't know if you're saying that I do paint pretty girls who are just pretty girls. Hopefully not. That's not my intention. I feel that I am, like I said, a storyteller, that there is a bit more to it. People ask me, like, what's the story behind this character? And I usually do have one, so I don't feel that they're shallow. Hopefully not. I don't know. So I hopefully that helps you. Okay. One last question I'm going to answer today is for Emma Marie. Hello, Emma. How are you? How are you doing? She has a fantastic channel as well. You should check her out. I'm a fan of her, so it's awesome. What kind of palette do you use? I hate cleaning dried acrylic paint off my palette. I've heard of a palette that is basically a pad of paper, so when you used up one sheet, you just throw it out and use the next. Have you tried something like that? Something like this? That's what I use, girl. That's what I use. I highly recommend these. They're awesome. So it's kind of like a waxy type paper, and you just peel it off when you're done and throw it away. Acrylic paint, dude, you don't want to be scraping a palette all the time. It's terrible. It's awful. This one is the Strathmore palette paper. There you have it. I love this stuff. Like I said, I don't create too much waste because I do try to use containers as well. And I will reuse these many times over because acrylic paint dries, so you can put more paint on this palette. But I love these. Yeah, like those old school ones, like that you're probably using, like they're really not too good for acrylic because it's just too much of a paint. So I definitely would recommend these. Some people, I think Jasmine Becca Griffith says she just uses like paper plates. I don't know though, like, I don't know if you can still recycle them once you put acrylic paint on them. I don't know. So I'm not, yeah, I guess it's like not super environmentally friendly, but that, I love this thing. There's also one called Gray Matters, which I also usually like, but it costs more. The palette is gray, so it's supposed to create like a neutral ground that you can see pure, truer colors. I don't know. It's probably a very minimal difference, but there is one that comes in gray, which is kind of nice. Okay, well, I'm kind of finished for today. Well, sorry, email. I'm finished for the moment, and I am going to try and finish this week so that I can share with you guys a final Art Nouveau video and get this piece available to you because I know you guys are chomping at the bit for her to be done. I guess you're all excited that you can hang her on your wall and she can turn you to stone. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this piece and I'm ready to finish it. And I can't wait to do that. So sorry there wasn't a whole lot of progress today. A lot of it was like kind of small details. Once I get to this stage, it's usually like just little things that I really enjoy this process, but it's hard to do while talking. I just realized it's much easier to kind of do the blocking in parts of the painting because I don't have to think about that as much. But now I kind of have to make some careful, conscious choices where I want things to go. So yeah, lesson learned for me as well. Okay, guys, so remember, if you have more questions, I have like lots of pages I didn't get through today, so I'll try and get through some more of those next time. But if you do have a question, please write it in this in the comments section of this video if it is the most recent video. If it's not my most recent video, then go ask it on the most recent video because that's how I'm tracking down the questions. Put hashtag AskLJ. And remember, if you're on Instagram, This had water on it for some reason. If you're on Instagram, add the hashtag Leilani look and show me what you worked on while you were painting, while I was painting. Would love to check out your paint along works. Alrighty, guys, I will see you on the next episode super soon. Hasta!
Yes. Oh God.